Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Brian, and we are Drinks and Discussions with our first live in some time. I am very, very happy to be able to have this live session with friends and uh, co-hosts with me. We've got Paul. You see him on the screen. Aaron, great to see you. If you're in the chat, please leave a comment so we make sure we acknowledge you. And I'm not sure how long this video is going or this live session is going to be. I do have work things that are going on, but I'm going to. I'm still trying to. It's been a slow day, so I wanted to just take an hour or so away from work and kind of come out here and acknowledge some people, interact with some people. I know you guys have questions, and I want to be able to answer those questions because we have been doing a lot of videos about narcissists. We've been doing a lot of things about personality disorders. Relationships are starting to come into play on our channel as well. And we want to give you an opportunity to either suggest things, comment about things, discuss things, or just ask us questions about what are some of the topics that we've been discussing and why we've been doing what we've been doing. So let me introduce you, Paul. We're going to have some other people joining us. And if you are on our Discord channel, please let me know that you would like to be a part of it. And we'd be more than happy to bring you over. And if you haven't been invited over to Discord and you're on Discord, drop us your Discord link and we'd be more than happy to add you to our server as well. So I haven't said that. Paul, how are you, sir? Most of you guys know Paul, but go ahead and introduce yourself, Paul. uh, Aaron views. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Okay. Um, everybody has probably run into you on different channels, and it's just good for us to be able to do these things also because we are uh, people whom we might be on other channels. They might see a side of us that is not really indicating or indication of exactly who we are there, and because we get caught up in some just not necessarily drama, but the slapstick and the comedy and just letting our hair down. And so I wanted to use this as an opportunity too for everybody to get to know who are now part of the Drinks and Discussions panelists as well. So everyone, I'm glad you guys are getting to know who Paul is, and he's going to be starting his own channel coming up as well. But if you do see him around, you can kind of get a feel of who he is. Say that one more time. I was actually chatting with Liz on the back end. Sorry, say that one more time. I was still talking to Liz. Sorry. Well, Liz, well, see, and that's kind of how we used to do it. I'd like to bring topics that we stay on topic on these live shows, so that we don't get bounce around and let other people hijack things and all these other stuff. So people understand once they come here on these live streams from Drinks and Discussions, we're going to have something that may provide you with some thought-provoking conversation, a little lightheartedness, and so there's not a whole lot of bickering and a lot of back and forth. Oh, Jesus. Let me fix that. Now they can. Go ahead.
Oh, can anybody hear me now? Waiting. Helm control to Major Tom. On.
Liz is trying to join. That's why I was actually going in there.
Okay. Fair enough.
And sorry about that. I did turn his mic on, so hopefully we don't
Yeah.
have to go back over
Okay.
anything.
I have to go through the spiel 5 times. This is the 5th time now. Okay, I'll do it because that's what happens. So what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to run. Yeah, right. Okay then. Planning to run like a discussion channel in like an informal, formal type thing. We talk about the topic of the day. Whether it be like the war in the Ukraine, should we get involved, or is free speech really free speech? Something like that.
Right.
Am I connected or not?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we're gonna hear you, Liz.
I'm just
And that's kind of one of the things that we tried to do here, or we're trying to do, Paul, is to get topics of the day or topics of the week that people can actually, find thought provoking, so we can all stay on that one point without bringing other interferences or other things in here. Because if you know what you're going to talk about, either you can stay or you can go.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing I'm doing. If anybody's rude, I don't mind a little bit of cussing within season. Anybody that's rude, anybody does anything, it will just automatically boot it off. So there's no need to be.
I'm just laughing at Dick Insider.
Yeah, I see that. I see.
I love Dick.
And hello, and by the way, people, we encourage some of the, ribbing if we can, because it's lighthearted. Dick Insider's a friend of the channel, just for fun's a friend of the channel, and we don't take anything that they say in any way as being um malicious. We enjoy it. I mean, they have taught me how to not take myself so seriously on YouTube, and so it's all in good fun.
Exactly. Iveen.
Oh,
Means poorly sure. No.
and I'm sorry, I'm not really catching up, and I appreciate you, Aaron. And I understand what you're trying to do. I didn't see everything over there. I just wanted to make sure Dick Insider is, everybody's cool. Laura Raider, hello, how are you? Krabby Bean. I'm hoping. See, I tried to change Nightbot again, his name, and I'm hoping somebody puts a lot of emojis in there so we can trigger the Nightbot to see how, if that name comes across. So if anybody wants to do a little test, put some emojis out there and see if we can trigger the Nightbot. See how that works.
Just get Vic on to put something in the chat. Nightbot hates Vic.
Yeah, it
It's
really
all
does.
right. Got a speed mouse, so you can do it speedily.
And by the way,
Hold
the
on.
latte that you see is Flaky Jake. Everybody, Liz is in the building, so say hello, everyone. And Liz, feel free to say hello to everyone.
Hey guys, good to see all of you.
Oh, nothing came up. I put a load of it.
I would like
Night.
to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
It's all right. Nightbot came up and told Dick Insider off.
Oh yeah, it still says Nightbot instead of. I gotta figure out how to change that name. I changed the other one, but I can't figure out how to change the uh, Nightbot one. Norfolk Southern Pokey District. Hello, how are you?
I s-
Liz, can you mod up? I keep getting an error. Aaron, I'm just trying to give you a mod to help out for us if you don't mind, if you would like that. If you don't, that's fine as well. But I keep getting an error every time I try to put you as a moderator. Paul, can you do it? See if you can mod Aaron?
Ah,
Maybe Veen did something to mic access and took my rights away.
Ian, what did you do? I put a load of mods, emojis on, didn't I? Yeah.
so Dick Insider is bless your little heart. Wants to know if that's Liz with the mic's her own voice changer, and I got to laugh because I was just going to apologize to everybody for not having a Liz Lizard breath voice, um, because she seems to be the voice of choice, especially
Oh
for
yeah,
women. So my apologies, guys. My voice is my voice.
and Liz,
There's nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. Sorry.
Well, let me
and
just
Liz
say
does
this
have a
too.
good telephone voice.
Yeah, she does. But let me tell you this: you will never see Flaky Jake, Liz, and me talk at the same time because we are the same people or the same person.
Yeah, we are. I
So
love
let's
it.
let's kind of get into some things. Let's get into some topics here. Veen, you know you're in the on our Discord, so if you want to jump up on panel, just join the backstage, and I'll move you over to where you need to go. Same with Vic and anybody else is on our Discord. Or if you want to be on Discord and you want to send us your name, we'll get you on here, and you can participate in some of our live streams. And if you want to be on part of this discussion, feel free as well. So we've been talking a lot about the narcissist and narcissist behavior disorder and other personality disorders. And I just wanted to give an opportunity for those who have supported our channel to ask questions. And if Paul and Liz wanted to talk about a couple of things regarding those the topics that we've been discussing, including some of the the relationship topics that we're starting to kind of push out as well, let ask questions and let's see if we can kind of continue the conversation on some of the things, because I do still see a lot of times where people will tell you one thing and then do the exact opposite of what they're telling you. And then when you say, you don't understand why they're flip flopping, they get confused and say, you know what, I never said that. I never did that. So I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions, talk on the subject, and share more information with regarding everybody that's participating in the live stream.
Brian, there's something over in the chat from Aaron about an
Yeah,
update
yeah,
happening.
I saw that,
Okay,
and you can't mod everybody. I find that I got that.
gotcha.
Okay, so
So,
what's happening now?
so
They're
yeah,
there.
so hey, Veen's joined us as well.
Yep.
Hello, Veen. Want to tell everybody quick hello? Anything about you?
Vini.
Ian?
Okay, we're not getting sound on Veen.
Nope, nope, it's no sound on Veen. Well, anyway, what about you guys in the chat? Tell me anything that you guys do. I know, Liz, you are never at a loss for words. Tell me what you've been thinking about some of the videos that we have been posting, and any feedback that maybe you have gotten individually from some of the ones who've been viewing it. Because I know I've been getting a lot of positive feedback, because even Marie Cook had sent something in one of the videos, a comment. And again, I want to say hello to her, that she was conflicted about knowing if someone that she is familiar with has this disorder. So, anything that you guys have been receiving from some of the comments from the views of the videos?
I think I've gotten a couple of comments here and there to my comments that I've put on, the vids, and so far they've all been positive. And I've enjoyed them, but the newer stuff, the brand new stuff about relationships, wow, that's whole new territory. And I just like to tell everyone now that I'm available to tell everybody exactly how how to fail in a marriage relationship. If they want that, if they want that advice, I got it.
There's a lot of people in our channel, and me included, that have had failed relationships. You're not the only one. But it is refreshing when I start reading and researching stuff, because even when you're married, not everything's great. Not everything for it. And then when you hit those rocky moments and you don't know where to turn to or what advice you can get to actually help you get past those rocky moments, it can be very challenging. And again, as
Testing
Well,
any,
1, 2.
hey, Veen, we got you. We got you loud and clear, sir.
Okay,
well, there's
thanks.
Dean.
Got it. Thank you.
Veen.
Hello.
Dude.
But you can get
Yes.
into a lull where you just don't know where to turn, and when you hit those rocky moments, you get stagnant. So I found it interesting that you can find these questions that you can ask your romantic partner or whatever relationship you're in, how to, um, get over those humps.
I'd like to answer
Well,
this question. Laura's asked, she said, I don't know how hard it is to recognise a narcissist. Well, I think you can see by the nature and how they deal with things.
Right, right, and to Laura's question or comment, the advice on how to deal with them is helpful, and I really appreciate that because knowing the traits and you can be an arrogant person, you can be a confident person, all of which I've been accused of. But when you start going into arrogance, lying, abusive, the traits of where they don't know how to handle uh, criticism, those all those things when you put them all together, they start kind of formulating a person as being or having that narcissistic uh, behavior, having that tag applied to them. And it's not something that is a medical necessarily a medical term, even though it's a category within the medical psychologist field. They don't just say, "Hey, you're diagnosed with narcissism."
To me, a
right.
Also,
narcissist is definitely someone that makes you feel terrible when you talk to them, and they always are in the foreground.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Well, I think one of the biggest indicators when you're talking to someone that you think might either be a narcissist or just display the tendencies is whether or not they can laugh at themselves.
mm-hmm,
Um, sincerely, laugh at themselves when they are teased. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Um, that's just a clue for me.
Another clue is definitely a British accent. Sorry, Paul.
you're an asshole.
Well, I know,
You
and
you bombed my chippy, Veen. Let's just leave it at that then.
In
Okay,
case you
okay.
guys don't know, Veen and Paul like to roast each other.
and also just for the another question came from Dick Insider is how many different types of narcissists are there clinically speaking? I know of
Oh,
maybe a few of them, and I know that there are more that I probably will miss. But I know there's the overt narciss,
Right.
narcissism, covert narcissism, and then there's malignant narcissism, and then there is, I believe, another one that I can't remember the name of it. But those are the ones that I know right off the top of my head. But I know that there are more types of them. And the malignant narcissism, from what I understand, is the worst narcissist of all. The covert narcissism is a little bit more trickier to understand because they are the ones that you see out in public and they're just so great and they're nice and everybody loves them. But when you go behind closed doors, and these are usually like the narcissist spouse, they're demanding, they're overbearing, they berate you behind closed doors, but outwardly they're not.
oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. The
Mm-hmm.
hypocrisy on that was killing me.
Also, I find that narcissists will use something to deflect. Like they'll use like a belief or something like that for their own actions.
Yes.
No,
So
they'll
the,
they'll say something and they'll say, "But this is what this has told me." They won't
Right,
accept responsibility for how they feel.
right.
mm,
Well, I think it was Maya Angelou who said, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when
mm,
you see people who have, a bad day, that's just a bad day. But if you start seeing that behavior and those qualities are manifest day after day after day after day, then you have to take that person for who they are showing you that they are. I don't believe that people just all of a sudden, because something happens, that they become this totally different person overnight. There are, I always say, I said this before, there are triggering events that may happen in your life that may make you change something in your life. You may become a little bit different person. But outside of some type of devastating triggering event in your life, people are going to be the same, especially when they reach a certain age in life.
Laura's got a great question. Um, and, and I have a high level of interest in it. She's asking what type of personality easily falls for conspiracy theories, or is everyone susceptible no matter their personality traits? And I'd love to hear what people know about this, because I have one child, and he just the conspiracy theories that child comes up with,
Mm.
I just want to beat my head against a brick wall. And if anybody can educate me on that, wow, I'd
Well,
love it.
let me answer that question if I can, only because of in the perspective of what we've been talking about from the narcissist. There are people, they call certain people who believe or follow behind a narcissist as empaths. And those are people who are generally very empathetic toward individuals. They want to try to help, they want to try to change, they want to try to understand. And then there's people who also don't really have a whole lot of substance in their real lives, in their personal lives. So when you take those qualities of an empath, then you blend it in with, family problems, no one that really understands them, or they have a disconnect with their family members or people around them in their real life. They may go in and get sucked into behind the thinking and the logic behind a narcissist or a conspiracy theory, because they believe that they're fitting in. It's almost like the gang lifestyle. People who are looking for direction without any real positive influences, so they go to somewhere where that they feel like they fit in. People are, you know, supporting them, and then they become brainwashed. And then at the end of the day, it's all a con.
Dick Insider is comparing conspiracy theories to alternate truths. I love it.
Well,
Yes,
there's
the
some
alternate facts.
conspiracy theories that have turned out right, isn't there?
I don't
Okay,
think
let's
that
give an example.
I don't think
And I'll
conspiracy
find an
theories are
example.
factual. I think that there are facts that are facts, but not conspiracies.
There
Okay.
have been some, all
Okay.
right.
Okay. What about the thing that's still going around about the U.S. moon landing being a farce?
Well,
How many?
there's some. Well, yeah, I mean,
That's a conspiracy theory, because
that's conspiracy
if it
theory, but
was a farce, we've all been duped, right?
there's a conspiracy theory about the dead baby project.
Dead
Yes, that's a
baby
conspiracy
project.
theory.
Yep. The conspiracy: the government was stealing dead bodies to do radioactive testing, and the truth was the government was stealing parts of dead bodies.
Really?
Yeah.
That one I hadn't heard.
Um. There's also government mind control. CIA was
Um,
testing LSD and other hallucinogenic drugs on Americans. Top
Yeah, we know
secret
that.
experimentation.
And
That
well,
are those
program was
so
known as
so
MK Ultra.
so
then
were
there's the
those
COVID shots.
well, yeah, the COVID shots were supposed to have like aborted fetuses in the COVID vaccine,
Yep.
but that's not true. I'm just saying that's not true at all. But I see what you're saying. There are maybe some conspiracies that people in the past. I don't think that the moon landing was actually faked or anything like that, but
No.
there have been so
No.
many. There are maybe some uh, ideas or some theories. I don't consider theories conspiracy. I consider there are some theories that have proved to be true and accurate. But when they're probably are not, when they become really these little cocky mamie nonsense conspiracy theories, they become more and more less accurate than some of the ones that may have turned out to be true.
Yeah, well, if we didn't really land on the moon, then I want to turn in my voting registration and crawl into a hole. Because I was 12 years old when that happened, and it sure looked real to me. Is all I can say.
Well, the point of the matter is that when you have people who are um, brainwashed because of the whatever their own mental makeup. Some there are strong-minded people, there are weak-minded people, and you do have people out there who are easily manipulated. And narcissists do well at finding people's weaknesses by just engaging in a small conversation where you might say, "Oh, yes, I'm just lonely. No one pays attention to me." And the narcissist will pick up on that and prey on you by offering you the attention that you are looking for until they get all this information. And then when they get all this information, they will use it against you to either entrap you, to make you stay in a relationship, no matter what the relationship is, and make it just difficult for you to disengage with them.
Yeah, but don't you think in a lot of cases people stay entirely of their own accord? Especially online. I mean, you can walk away and turn off the laptop.
Well, you got to think about it. You're looking at it from perspective of just online. These people, there are people who deal with narcissism in real life, including myself. There are people who don't have a laptop or device to turn off. So when you have, and what we're
That's
talking about
true.
are real life scenarios. This is not about internet play.
No,
When you
that's true.
and when you are stuck with a relationship, and there are people who are married to a narcissist, people who work with narcissists, and you don't have an easy out, especially when you're in love with someone, and when you go out with that person, people adore this person as being so loving and such a very genuine guy or woman. And then you go back home, and then it's like, cook me dinner and you look like a cow, or all these other disparaging comments. That's real life scenarios, and that's what we try to do, is we try to put a spotlight on real life scenarios, because I can give a rat's ass about this YouTube drama crap. I'm trying to tell people about real life things that either affect me, maybe affect you, and how we can all identify it, or we all can do something about it.
No, you're right. I've got you. I stand corrected. Honestly, if I have any narcissists in real life circle, they've got me fooled. I don't recognize any of them as such. I don't think I have any.
Well, yeah, it's not this is not for everyone. Not everybody's going to experience
Yeah.
the same
I
things
I
that each one
actually
of
knew
us
one,
experience. Oh yeah.
and I've known him from the age of, I knew him from the age of 5 or
Wow.
6.
What traits did you see? Especially since we've been talking about it, what are the traits that you recognized?
His behaviour towards women,
Mm.
Oh, okay.
and how he felt around women. Let's say he used to stalk people, and I thought he said he'd done some things. I'm not going to say on here, but he done some things. I said, mate, that's pretty bad, and if you do that again, I'm no way going to talk to you. Then I found out he was going down the same old road. So since I knew him from the age of 5, this happened when I was 40. I cut him straight off.
Wow. And you got
No,
Miss
you don't
Mandy,
need that.
and Miss Mandy is saying that her ex-husband was a narcissist, and it was extremely hard living with him. Divorcing was the best thing that she ever did.
Yeah. Like,
Mm.
10 years.
I think it's
Laura.
best once you see once you see the person who the person is, there's nothing you can do. You can change him. He's always going to be that person. So that's why I just said, no, I'm not having this anymore. I don't need
Yeah,
this.
but what do you do if it's a parent?
Good question.
Yeah, that's so difficult, man. And I hate
Well,
saying it, because it's in public forum, but I have that issue.
Wow, Veen, didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's that bad, man, that my family is so distraught, they don't even talk to each other now.
When
that's
it's a
pretty.
and when since I've been researching this, it has been very difficult when they talk about parents, especially the parents and the kid relationship when the child gets older. It becomes
Mhm.
a very difficult relationship.
Oh yeah, because you become the go in between if you're a sibling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know exactly what the other person is talking about. You can't even justify it, and you still have to put on the good face. That is what kills it.
Wow, that would have to be difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
The difficulties in relationships, regardless if it's with a narcissist or anyone, it could be really challenging. And as we navigate through social media and relationships with people that we interact with, that could be even more complicated because, as you all know, we don't know per se what everyone looks like that we're interacting with. We don't know, what's going on in their real lives. And when people don't know really how to deal with their own personal lives and they come out on social media, they may be taking it out on someone on social media that they can't take out on the person that they're around. And I'm not just saying that that is a negative because sometimes when you don't have an outlet, when you're with someone who is a narcissist and you come out here and you just explode on the first person that you interact with, that could be a positive thing in your own life because you're kind of having this outlet to get rid of this toxicity in you. But it can also be bad because you're not being able to apply some of the things that you should be applying emotionally in your own real personal life. It can be very difficult. And I
Didn't we
promise
just
you,
cover this?
yeah, we just covered this. Yep.
What a coincidence, huh?
And I'd be honest with you, there have been times where I've had to, as I'm learning these things, I had to look at myself in the mirror and on some of these things, on how, even with my personal life, how am I reacting to certain situations where, I should probably do it a little bit differently. I should
Oh
be able
yeah,
to talk to people in a more calming voice. Whereas when I get angry, I start talking really, really fast. I get really, really fast, and then I start kind of maybe over talking people, and I have to like dial that down and say, you know what? Let me listen right now. As I'm listening, I'm calming myself down in my head, and then I'll be able to articulate my point of view in a more clearer fashion.
have you guys been in that situation where you're actually wondering, hey, am I like my father or mother?
Oh yeah.
And then realize, oh my God, I have this trait. I hate that trait in my father figure, or mother figure.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're standing there and, what am I going to do about this?
Oh my gosh, Ving, that is such a question I think every adult probably asks themselves, especially when you become a parent. You know, when I became a parent, I had to sit there and tell myself what it is, how do I want to raise my child? Do I want to raise them as being how my parents did, or do I want to take the things that my parents did that I didn't agree with, and
Right.
raised my child in spite of how I was raised, and see if I can
Yeah.
create
S-
a s-
Oh my gosh.
a great loving child. Yes, Liz.
So that just makes me really, really sad, guys, to hear both of you say that because I've spent my adulthood raising my son, aspiring to be like my parents and the way they raised me. And I thought everybody had that. And it's been a shock to me to find out how many people did not get that. Do you know what I'm saying? In other words, my parents I got nothing bad to say about them. The way they raised me and my siblings, um, I thought they did a great job. And for
I think I think there's some lack of self-awareness there, Liz. Because do you know
no,
who you?
no,
No, I'm just
and
kidding. They
I
did a
know
great
people
job.
are
I'm
gonna
like, wait a
think
minute.
that.
Oh, oh,
I
oh.
no, really, I know people are
Right.
gonna think that, but
Liz calling
it,
herself great.
no, no,
I'm
and that's not
kidding.
what I mean either. But you, okay, you've seen reruns of Leave It to Beaver, right?
Yes.
No, we
You
don't watch
guys,
that.
all
We're
of you,
grown-ups. No, we don't.
okay?
No.
I mean, that's like that. That's like what I grew up with, guys. I mean, that was my family. I don't know what
What
to tell you.
the fairy tale family? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was so much like that. It was so middle class and so get along with, and parents that never fought with each other, but obviously loved each other. And the kids, I mean, we had squabbles amongst us, but nothing major ever. And it, I don't know, I don't know how to
So,
explain it.
well, your parents obviously weren't divorced.
No, no, they died. My father died first. They were still married over 50
Yeah.
years. Yeah, it was maybe you could call it a fairy tale. I don't know.
Well, to me it is, because I come from the other side. My parents got divorced, and I see myself still to this date sitting on the boardwalk waiting for my dad to show up, pick me up on the weekends, and he never came or called.
Oh,
That
honey.
happened so many times. I made my mom feel guilty for it, and I had to make amends later on in life.
Dick. I love you, Dick. Maybe I'm the narcissist. You're right.
But you know what? I grew up with a two-parent household my entire life. My parents still married, and I also agree that I think they did a great job raising us, me and my siblings. But there were things where, I when I grew up and I realized that some of the teachings and the values, not values, but some of the teachings and the way that they handled certain things like discipline,
Dick.
I just didn't agree with. And that's okay. You can say, "Hey, I am a great individual. My parents did a great job." But when it came to these moments, as an adult, I won't handle those moments with my children the way my parents did. And you can still say, hey,
Right.
you know what? I am grateful for everything that my parents did. I love my parents, but I don't agree with their religious choices. I thought that maybe even their religious choices stymied my growth as an individual, as a
Stifled, you said?
person. Yeah, stifled my growth as an
Uh,
individual when it came to
okay.
outside relationships. Because when you
Yeah.
are in a religion like Jehovah's Witnesses, you can't interact with other people that are outside of that religion. And
No,
then
it's
when
a
you become an
commune.
adult, yeah, when you become an adult, it takes a lot if you leave that religion to ingratiate yourself to others that are not believers of that religion. Um, and so you can still sit there and love and do all the things that Liz is saying, but then sit there and say, you know what, as a parent, I'm going to do something different than what my parents did, and I'm going to make sure that I'm still going to raise children that are going to become really productive and upstanding citizens as adults.
Hmm. I'm trying to think of anything I would want to do differently than my parents did, and I'm not getting anything quickly. And I was raised with in a religious home as well, Brian. You know that.
Hmm.
Different religions, but still religious.
Yeah, there's no right. If there's a book that everybody could read on how to be the perfect parent, we'd all read it, right? But there is no recipe for being the perfect parent, and then there's no recipe of how your children are going to behave when you have them, no matter your best intent. I know
Yeah.
that my 4-year-old, who probably thinks he's 15, will sit there and say some of the craziest things, and I look at him and I go, "You're 4. Why are you talking to me that way?" And so it's just because society changes and adapts, and there's so much information fed to our children that they don't wait to high school, or excuse me, they don't wait to pre-K or kindergarten to learn their alphabets and their numbers. They learn that stuff by the time they're 3 now because they have the iPads. They have all these other creative
Yeah,
stem cell educational things that people do
yeah.
and use it to their children. So, the things that we do should not, in my opinion, be the same things that our parents grew because society is different and we should not be doing it the exact same way that they have done. And I wouldn't say
Mm,
this, Laura. I was going to say this too. I don't think you did I wouldn't say, I don't know you, but saying that you did a lousy job raising your children as a single parent is probably not the right term. Probably did the best you could and under the circumstances. And uh, if they turned out great, you still should have some kind of credit in them being who they are now, despite what you may think. I'm just saying that as a positive note because I'm still single parents, excuse me, whether you're a single mom or single dad, it's hard work. It's hard work. I don't wish it upon anyone. And I know I have people in my family who do it and they've got 3 or 4 kids and they do it single handedly. And I commend them for doing so. And I can't imagine myself being in a position where that had to happen.
Well, let me just ask. I don't know. I don't know how it was for the rest of you, so I'm asking. For me, growing up, it was more watching what my parents did as opposed to what they said. Was that the same for the rest of you?
Repeat the question.
I took more of an example from my parents from their actions as opposed to what they would say to us as kids. Does that make sense?
I think I took a
Well,
little bit of both.
Yeah, for me, it was about the actions. That's always looking back now, their actions are what have stuck with me the most. So they must have impressed me the most. I remember less of what they said, but I remember a lot more of what they did.
for me, it was the opposite. They told me that they loved me, but the actions were completely different.
Hmm.
Wow.
That's difficult to see someone say one thing and then do another. I have a problem with
Yeah.
hypocrisy all the time. That's probably one of my weak points. I really get upset when I see people who are saying one thing and then doing another, especially when in the workplace. I can't stand to see these. That's another story. But I get upset when ignorance and hypocrisy are my triggers. I just really get upset when it comes to those types of things.
Yeah, same
Well,
here.
the hypocrisy is part of life. I mean, we're all guilty of it on a regular basis to some degree. It's human nature, right? It's
Hmm.
when it's really bad and gets in your face that it's hard to deal with, right?
Well, if I
Right.
catch myself in hypocrisy, I hammer myself to death, to try to
Yeah.
make that better.
Yeah, me too.
Well, yeah,
It's
and it's self-awareness. I mean, that's kind of like when I see myself in the past where I've been on certain streams when I'm getting all worked up and I look back at those videos and I go, golly, I can't believe I acted that way. I can't believe I allowed myself to get so emotionally unhinged that brought out the worst part of me. And that's why taking some time off from the live streams and just doing some research on just behavioral stuff, it's taught me an awful lot. I mean, you think I'm just sitting here making these videos just to disseminate this information to people who I think they might need it. I'm getting so much out of these videos that you guys probably have no idea. It's really improving me and in my personal life and my career. It's really helped me a lot.
yeah, Liz says that not all parents are good people, and she's right.
So
Oh,
do you
Liz,
think?
Um,
Sorry,
go ahead.
carry on, Liz.
oh, I was just gonna say, she's right. That some people probably shouldn't be parents. They're maybe just not cut out for it, and they would have been better off putting their efforts elsewhere, I guess.
Okay. Do you
Were you about
think
to say
that
anything?
social media has helped or hindered?
Oh, I think it's hindered a lot of stuff. I
I
my
I don't.
kid, oh my
Go.
kid, okay. But your kids were still really young, Brian. Mine's grown, and God bless him. I love him to pieces, but you know how he communicates the most is by text. I mean, get on the phone and talk to people. I make him talk to me. I'm like, quit texting me and call. They've got to learn to communicate verbally, and oh my gosh, all they want to do is text, especially amongst themselves. Drives me
You,
nuts.
you know, you guys, what Lizzie is writing here is absolutely true. Children were supposed to be seen but not heard. There's pictures of me in a three-piece suit when I was 4 years old, but I was not allowed to talk.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we were allowed to talk in my family.
No.
Boy, were we allowed to
And
talk.
then you're similar to me too, because when we at least go to my grandparents' house, we would always have to go into like this back room of that my grandparents' house, where all the other
Yeah.
grown-ups would be over here, and we were only coming out of that room if there was somebody was hurt or somebody was crying or something like that. We were not allowed to be around adults when I was growing up.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
Same here. Same here. Yeah.
Oh
Separate
my gosh.
tables.
Yeah,
Oh, I feel bad for both of you.
I've heard that term. Children are supposed to be seen and not heard so many times growing up. It was just
Well, I could tell
part
you
of
a
the
story
culture.
that if my dad went to the drink, you drink.
You're
You're
roboting.
roboting. Paul, you're
Ah.
You're
roboting.
breaking up, Paul. Catch it, Paul. You were breaking up, my dear.
Yeah. Go out and come back in. See if that works. Hopefully.
Is it okay now?
No, it's real
No.
bad.
Hold on.
So Laura's saying something about an authoritarian checklist and religious people. I grew up in a Christian household, and the authority was clear, but we were always allowed to speak our opinion and voice, and there wasn't any of that type of authoritarian.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you
Okay.
now.
What was he used to say? Yep. When my dad wanted to go for a drink, he used to take us down to the pub. We weren't allowed into the bar, so he used to sit us out in the beer garden. All we had was a packet of crisps and a half a lemonade. And we weren't allowed to go in to go and get him if we needed anything. He would come out to us.
Sorry,
Like,
I missed that.
yeah. Okay. Like I said, my dad used to when he had a drink, if he'd like a drink, no, not like get drunk, just like one or two beers with people. He used to take us to the pub,
Your
and he was
folks
just
did.
yeah, my dad did, yeah. It's a British thing, you know, because
Okay.
pubs are not like American bars; they're different
Right.
here. But we used to sit out in the beer garden, so he'd be in the bar and we'd be out in the beer garden. We'd have a packet of crisps and half a lemonade, and we weren't allowed to go into the beer garden to get him. Or to go into the bar to get him. He'd have to come out to us when it's the time over. This was like in the early '80s, you know.
Right. And you know, we were talking about this a little bit about,
I never got
culture
taken to a
changes.
pub.
Well,
or a
culture
bar.
changes, and it's supposed to
That's
change.
all I can offer.
Cultures are supposed to change over time because as technology advances and our environment advances, people should be advancing as well. And back to what Liz was saying about her son texting all the time.
Okay, what happened?
I don't. What happened? What do you mean? You don't hear me?
Brian, I can't hear you.
Liz, I can hear you. Can everybody
Brian.
else hear me? Or Liz, it's on you.
Yeah,
Not
okay.
us.
Yeah.
So
Brian.
when people are sitting there and they are saying that that I wish my son or someone should be talking on the phone rather than texting me.
Okay,
I believe
see his
that
mouth
people.
going, but I do
Liz,
not
we can hear you,
hear
Liz.
him speaking.
Stop, Liz. Stop, Liz.
Am I the only one not hearing Brian?
Yes.
Anyway, Liz and technology, and that's why she wants her son to talk on the phone more than text her all the time. But I try, because of course, my career is in technology. I encourage people to always be advancing on, you know, keeping up with technology, because if you can have multiple forms of communication, a lot of times it's easier for people to stay in touch. And I'd rather you stay in touch with me on a text message than call me once a month. If you can just give me an email and just tell me how you're doing. And there are times where I really don't want to talk to anybody, but I want to know how they're doing, or I want them to know that everything's fine. My dad, to this day, if there's a big storm, he will call me after the storm passes to make sure that we're okay. And it's always a phone call, but there are other times where he calls me or sends me a text messages. As long as you're making an effort, I don't think anyone should be upset about the method of communication, as long as the communications lines of communication stay open. It's when you drop those lines of communication, then that's when problems start to creep up into the relationships that you have. Thoughts, anybody? And I didn't go to a pub, but my grandfather used to always drink beer out of a glass. And I think I told this story before, but he'd tell us to pour things out of the can or the whatever bottle he had into a glass. And whatever we put a foam head on that beer about that thick, and whatever was left in the bottle or the can, he just let us swig it back. So we we did that. I think probably at the age 10 or 11.
Well, I think pub culture is different over here compared to America.
Mm.
It's a lot different. Pubs are more like they're more like the meeting point. Is when before mobile phones came about, people used to meet in pubs.
Mm.
It's how the internet is actually changing the world too. Because I think 20 years ago, I used to go. I'd never really call my mates. I used to go knocking for them. They're knocking out and say, "Do you fancy going to the pub?" They go, "Yeah." Nowadays, it's all done by social media.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I
Go ahead.
I grew up in an alcohol-less home. Not a drop.
What are you gonna say,
No, I
Paul?
can't say that for me. Can't say that. My mum and dad were supposed to be Mormons, but they did secretly like a drink.
My mom and dad actually, and that's one of the things when you were talking about, Liz. When you watch and you pick up on things on how what your parents did. My dad was not a heavy drinker, but he had liquor in our house almost all the time, and he was a beer drinker. My dad introduced me into boxing. My dad introduced me into basketball, football, sports. He introduced me to music. My taste in music, it kind of was in line with what my mom and dad listened to. My dad introduced me to how to treat a woman, because we used to watch my mom and dad slow dance in our living room to songs from time to
Oh,
time.
that's neat.
We used to watch my dad helping my mom in the kitchen from time to time. We used to watch my dad cook. I used to watch my dad wash the dishes. So these are things that, as a man, we grew up thinking was the norm. We didn't have that, that male chauvinist type of attitude, because we never saw that from my father. So, um, it's poignant that you say that you should watch and emulate what you see from your parents, but that can also have a catch 22, because you have the bad relationships, the abusive relationships, and kids see those types of things and also think that that's the norm as well, when it should not be.
Yeah, I've seen that myself.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, until a child gets older, whatever home environment they're being raised in, they think everybody's home is like that. And it takes a little while for them to catch on that some people have really, really different home lives than they are
Yeah,
experiencing
my
themselves.
my home life was pretty. Yeah, Dad wasn't too shy of using his hands.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I've been thrown across the living room once. I've been hit with a belt, a slipper,
Ooh.
anything you can get your
Wow.
hands on. But my mum, and this is not an excuse, but it's sort of the truth. My mum and dad grew up in Scotland, Glasgow, and grew up in the tough areas.
Mm.
It was, my mum, when she grew up, she was born in a tenement, and there's about 30 to 40 people in this tenement.
Wow.
And when she was born, they didn't have any cots or anything, so they put her to sleep in a chest of drawers.
Wow.
My dad's mum had oh god, I can't remember. She got ill, and my dad and his sister got put into a children's home, and they learnt through the children's home. And they stayed in a really tough area in Glasgow,
Mm.
and they're brought up that's the way they're brought up. But it's not an excuse, but it sort of is if you get my meaning. Not like I'm thankful for it.
Well, let me ask you this question, if you don't mind.
Mm.
How has that impacted your relationships with people or romantic relationships?
It hasn't. It's different, but it has impacted the relationship with my dad because before my mum passed away, we used to stay at my mum. We stayed my mum with him together because they split up ages ago. And before my mum passed away, we ended up having a fight to do, and it was just over nothing really. I walked out the door. He slammed the door right in my nose, so I punched the door.
Mm.
And he forgot that I was a bigger guy than him. And I used to lift the weights then too. And he started pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. And I said, "Look, just don't push me. You're my dad." And at the end of it, he pushed me up, and I picked him up, and I said to, when you just see red, there's a red mist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get a blindness, if you will. I
Yeah.
actually picked him up off the floor, and I threw him 2 or 3 foot. Said, "Don't pick on me ever again."
Is that a testosterone thing, that red mist thing? Because I've heard lots of guys talk about that, and I've never personally
I
experienced
think
it.
it's when you reach the boiling point.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes,
reach the
I've never.
boiling point there. When you reach that boiling point, when somebody's because my dad used to pick on me and bully me all the time.
Mm.
And there's one time I went into the thing and he started picking me. He said, "See this?" He went, "Yeah." "See my face?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Hit me. You have
Wow.
one free shot. If you hit me again, you're gonna expect me to hit you back."
Mm-hmm.
And he walked away. But then that was another time. Then the last time he tried to do it, I just picked him up and threw him actually off the ground and said, "Don't ever hit me again."
Mm.
So,
'Cause
Vic, I haven't heard you. Vic
Hmm.
wants a mic test.
Okay.
Vic wants a mic test or Veen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't
Too
hear.
many, too many darn V's. Sorry, my apologies.
No.
Yeah, Veen, we still haven't heard you.
No, but that's what my dad used to, and I don't talk to my dad now.
Well, I'm sorry about that too, but you have to do what you need for yourself. I get
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean, last time I sort of heard from him. I didn't hear his actual words. Was he said because there was a big fight at the family funeral. There was a fight before that, but it sort of thing, and for my mum, and he said, "Tell Paul to forget the rest and carry on with his life." And that wasn't even him saying it, because that was my auntie, his sister, she said it to me.
Mm.
Wow.
That's crazy. I mean, not crazy. That's that's actually sad to hear. I mean, you hear about these types of kids growing up. I don't think I've actually heard a story quite like that. And I'm sorry you had to
No,
deal with
there's
that.
a million more that are
Oh,
better, worse
absolutely.
than me.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? That's a great outlook to have. When you hear that story and then hear you actually say there are worse stories out there, and that, yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he wasn't like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, but it was when I was older. That's when he started getting to it.
Wow.
So I didn't join the army like my brother. I didn't do this like my brother. I wasn't my brother. My dad was an ex-army chef.
Mm.
And he just wanted all these things, and I wasn't like that. I'd done my own thing.
So, so your other siblings, did you say that some of them actually affected them? It affected them a lot differently than you.
Oh, yeah. They didn't see that side.
Mm.
They didn't see
Sorry.
my dad hitting. They didn't see my dad hitting my mum.
Mm.
I walked downstairs one time and had an argument. I opened the door and they were shouting, and he held her up against the wall to hitting her.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
no, we're talking about this? Oh, shit. I got a story, too.
Oh,
Yep.
there's
So
one.
I pushed her out the way, and I said, "Don't hit my mum." Then next thing you know, he was punching me.
Ooh.
Mm.
Was he drunk? Oh.
He hardly drunk.
Huh.
Just fits of rage.
Yep.
I,
Tried to do that two or three times to me when I was in my. This is not when I was a little. First time he tried to do it when I was 15. Second time to do it when I was 17. And the third time he tried to do it is when I picked him up and threw him when I was in my 20s. And I was 5'8". Yeah, I was lifting 40 kg weights, and
Mm-hmm.
just say it didn't work out well for him, or wouldn't have worked out well for him.
Oh, jeez. Then you said you had a similar story to share.
Yeah, my dad actually went to jail over this one. He threw my aunt down the stairs.
ooh. Was she okay?
And, well, yeah, from what I understand. But I mean, how do you feel when you go down a flight of stairs? You know, if it's in one of
Yeah.
those
God,
high-rise
stairs.
buildings. You know,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
and I hate to even say that he hasn't done it since. You know, so I guess he made up for it. And
Yeah.
but he was a raging person, you know, back then. And I got a lot of spankings as a child, a lot.
Yeah, so did I.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I trespassed on this land, and the police got called. They picked me up. It was only about 5 or 10 minutes away from where I used to live. The police dropped me off, and, and the police knew my dad, and he goes, "Sorry, John." Brought him in. He goes, "What did he do now?" He said, "Done this, but I'll leave you to sort him out." Next thing you know, police walk away, door slams, my dad smacks back of the head. I go, "No!" And he goes, "That's not for what you done. That's for bringing the police to the door."
Oh.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't embarrass me like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how old we were, but 8 p.m. was the time to be in bed. Once you're in bed, you're not allowed to get out of bed until the next
Yeah.
morning.
Same here.
And so my parents went out for the night, you know, and I got thirsty. I went up into the kitchen sink and got some water. Door opens up, my dad comes in, and I got my ass whooped.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then one in high school. You know, wasn't physical, sports, right? You call it PE here, right?
Yep. PE. Yep.
So the PE teacher says, "Okay, guys, you know, run around the circle, you know, basketball court, or whatever it's called. You won't be judged by it. No notes given." So I walked, and he goes, "What the hell are you doing? You know, I told you to run." I said, "You said that we won't get judged on it. No notes." So I got a what do you call it? Open hand against the cheek. What do you call it here?
Yeah. A slap.
A full slap on the cheek, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that really hurt. So
Yeah.
he sent me. I went home. You know, I left. And my dad says, "What are you doing home?" I said, "I got slapped by the teacher." He goes, "What? Teacher slapped you?" He went over there and raised all sorts of hell, right? Comes home, I get my ass whooped.
Mm.
I said, and I go, why is that? He says, you talk back to the teacher.
Mm.
Oh.
Why did you go in
Well,
the first place, you know? And bitch
Yeah.
about it.
I can remember the school got me telling. Well, that's what we called it. And I got really bullied at school. Used to get really, really bullied. So I hardly ever went. I'd think of ways of not going or just didn't bother turning up. And I never used to eat school dinner because that's where they would get you in the canteen hall.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I hardly ever, because we had free school dinners, they give you a token so they know who's been eating dinners. So
Mm.
they got me for the medical, and they went, look, we need to put you in for a medical. I said, why? Said, we think you've got anorexia. Have you seen me? You know my picture, yeah. And went, what? He goes, we need to go for the medical. So I went home. My dad goes, oh, I've heard you've had a medical. I went, yeah. He goes, it was for your work experience, because I don't know about American schools and British schools. When you come close to leaving, they give you a position in a place where you can do some experience of what it's like to be in the workforce.
Yeah,
Oh.
they have certain organizations like that here, where you can actually you can do like an internship basically.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
for 5 days. It wasn't long, five
Mm-hmm.
days. Good work. Do you do school hours? They'll drop you off at school hours there. You go to work at 8 and they'll pick you up at drop you off at 4 or 5 o'clock.
Mm.
And I said to my dad, no, you're wrong. It's because they thought I had anorexia. And he goes, no, the school told me. And I went, no, the school told me this. Next thing you know, my dad started beating me again.
Mm.
The school got me a beating or a hiding.
And
Jeez.
when you talk about school stuff too, when we were young and growing up, I sometimes reflect back. I was not always the smartest person in the class, but I was kind of smart growing up. But I also found the studies and the pace of which the class was being taught was too slow for me. And so I find myself drifting off, not interested. But when it came to testing, I would always test very well. But when I became an adult, you start hearing about these personality disorders where there's ADD and all these other learning disorders that I keep playing back in my mind, saying, maybe I would have tested on the spectrum if I was a kid and they had it back then, because nowadays with the way people have studied psychology so much and these learning disorders, your kid just doesn't have to be dumb and having failing grades. It could be because of a learning disorder, or it could be something where you have this hyperactive disorder where you just can't sit still and teachers think it's disruptive. And their only way back in the day was to put you in detention or send you to the office and you'd be disciplined by your parents. I think that is a society thing that I really am glad that there's putting an emphasis on understanding, the learning place and how we should be adapting the resources and the teachings to the people and how they learn, rather than just some curriculum that you decide that you want to just put out there and put and send to people or teach people.
See, in our school, when I went, well, I'm going to talk about more secondary school because that's when it all started. I got drop down groups because I wasn't doing the coursework, I wasn't in classes. I didn't really care. He just put you down in classes and just said, yeah, this is how we deal with it. They didn't even ask what was wrong. They didn't think. They just thought, yeah, he's a bit stupid. When I took
Mm-hmm.
one of the French exams, I got 96% on my French exam.
Mm.
They were saying, how did you get that? And, it was not hard, but I was in the out. This is what they call fourth year, because you do second, third, fourth, and fifth. It's the way our schools run. At that time, it's different now. I
Mm-hmm.
was in fourth year, and I got the same grade as the person in the fifth year and higher. So they were shocked by this, but they didn't even ask why you skipping school. You just left you alone to deal with it. because they hid away the bullying. Would hide away into the thing. Their teachers would know what was happening, but wouldn't do nothing. They would just move out the way of it, unless it was done right in front of them.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny. Not to interrupt you. Go ahead, Paul. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, and it's very hard to go to school when you've got a group of six to 8 people chasing you.
Oh yeah.
My school wasn't like people think of this like England being this really enriched place. Our school was absolutely rough.
Oh yeah, same here.
It was a rough school. Even for the county I'm in, it was a rough school. You got banned from playing football, what you'd call soccer, because we decided to mash up the other team's school bus.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was a proper rough school in a small village, and you couldn't run away from it. In a town, it would have been different, but I lived in that small village there.
I'll put you on guys on hold. Keep holding the conversation.
Yep. You couldn't escape it.
What happened?
What happened where?
Oh, Brian just split camera-wise? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I had the same upbringing. You know, we have so much similarities, Paul. It's not even funny.
No, it's I think it's the European mentality, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's a whole European feel. Yeah, yes, definitely.
You had to be tough. You had to be tough. You had no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you had
to. That, but that makes sense. It does, especially post World War II, and yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You know,
you had to be fast on your feet or be good with your hands.
Oh, and not only that, but you got degraded by parents, you know, that were academics and had their children in school. You weren't good enough for their daughters. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. It's all of that too.
You know, I'm gonna go back a few minutes because a few topics because I was looking in the chat as well, and they were talking about spankings and all that kind of stuff. And before I say what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna talk to Liz because I'm gonna goad her just a little bit. Doesn't the Bible say you're not supposed to spare the rod on your child?
Spare the rod, spoil the child. I thought that was Benjamin Franklin, but I'll look it up.
Okay, I'm just a little dig on the religious thing. I don't want to get into it, but I always like that when I hear it, I'm always like, oh wait a minute, that's a religious thing.
It's Proverbs. It's Proverbs 13:24.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
So, but I'm the same way. I grew up like you, kind of the gentleman on the panel is where my parents spanked me. Sometimes I didn't think that it was warranted, but I didn't like it. And so when I became a father, I knew in my heart of hearts that I was never going to spank my child. And my 4-year-old has never seen me get to a point where I want to attack him physically in that manner. But I do believe that he knows what spankings is, and I don't know where it comes from. But when I say, you know what, I'm going to spank your butt, and he goes, okay, I'm going to do it. It's like, and I saw this in the chat from, I think, Liz, Lizard Breath, that it is an attention grabber. It's sometimes if I just do like this, if I'm walking by and do like this, he'll go, when I just do like that on his butt, he goes, Mom, Dad just spanked me. And I go, no, that's a love tap. And so even if you do just smack him on the butt, it does get a child's attention, and I get the whole meaning behind it. I just don't ever feel, because I'm going to relay this all the way back to when Paul was talking about when you get angry, there's a level, especially with men, where my sister would always tell me, because I've had my share of fights as an adult when I was drinking, 20-something-year-old hothead, where my sister would go, dude, did you just black out and go crazy? I was like, I guess so, because once you get to that anger point, there is no turning back. You just don't see anything. It's all a blur, and it's just reactive mode. And no one should ever get to that point when they have to do that. But if you get to a point where you, in my opinion, where you have to resort to some type of physical punishment to a child, I just can't get my logical brain around doing it.
I've been there, but with schoolmates, you know, and I was so afraid once I came to. on top of a guy, you know. Oh man, I was shaking like a leaf, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I can say there for what Brian said was, I think spanking and beating a kid are two different things. And I agree with the fact it's an attention getter. I had a handful of those as a child from my dad. He never used anything more than his hand, and it was only to the butt. It was always brief, and it was always deserved on my part. But I will say this: the part that was the most painful to me was not the spanking, it was the embarrassment.
Embarrassment of
Really?
getting spanked? I don't know how that worked.
My dad used to
I
hit me so. My dad used to hit me so hard, he used to fall to the floor.
You know, but it's
Yes.
not only that, Paul. Remember in school, our teachers even spanked us.
Oh, they
Oh,
didn't at
not
that point. No, they didn't at that point. We got
I
rid of
got
that.
spanked in school,
Yeah,
definitely.
really.
oh yeah,
Really?
Oh yeah.
we got rid of corporal punishment in the 70s.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Went to
Well,
school.
it
Yeah, I
was
went to
earlier than
school
that.
went to school in the 1980s.
Yeah, see, I was earlier than that. I graduated in
Mm.
the early 80s
There were
already.
still some teachers who would threaten you with.
Not where
So
They'll
I
chuck.
went.
public
They'll
schools in
No,
the US, the
I got
teachers
wet
weren't allowed to hit
sponges,
us.
chalk, bamboo stick,
Oh, ouch.
backhanded. Oh yeah, I got it going. Good.
We had a teacher
Gee.
used to throw the chalkboard rubber at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
Trust.
mucking around, you'd see this chalkboard rubber come flying towards you.
Mm. Yeah, they didn't get any corporate punishment from the association. Nothing, you know. It was all okay back then. When I grew up.
You know, it's
Well,
funny
the
because I'm listening to a lot of reading some of the chats and I'm trying to bring in some of the information that they're bringing up here on the board as well. Lizard breath. Liz is saying, would you spank your child's hand away from a hot stove? I would say yes, and every child is different. And I don't know what I would do if I had a child that I had to get to a level of discipline where, you know, grounding them, taking away some of their toys was not effective. Again, I'm not telling people that they should not spank their children. I just tell, as a parent, I can't do it. I just want, I can't find a situation where I would think that I would get to that level. But maybe as my son gets older, maybe there's a point where things aren't being effective in other methods of discipline. But I think you should try those methods of discipline as your first or your first method, and then spanking should be the very last method that any parent should actually do. And as a helicopter
Well, I
parent,
think
and I consider myself a helicopter parent because my wife and I watch these children's shows, these not documentaries, these shows about raising your kids and all that kind of stuff. I am in that helicopter parent stage because even though my son's 4 and he likes to jump, we have these things in our house called love sacks. I don't know if you ever heard of love sacks. They're
no.
like beanbag chairs, but they're different. And we have one in our bedroom, and he'll jump from our master bedroom or our bed from that to the love sack. And I cringe from him doing that because my job is a protector. I am the guy who protects my wife and my son. And if I see him in harm's way, even at the park playground, even though I know he can go all the way up to the top of the slide and slide down, I'm right there underneath there going like this, just in case something goes wrong. I know it's not the best thing to do for a child. You don't want to coddle them. You don't want to do it. But I am a helicopter dad, and I'm watching over him over everything he does, and it's just weird. And I think it's because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's a rainbow child, and we lost a child and all that. I don't know if that's my makeup, but I think that's just who I am.
You
My
know,
dad. Sorry, Bill,
as a
carry on.
as a kid, I used to play with fire, you know. And my mom, she got so worried that she actually took my fingers and put them underneath matches, lit matches, to show me, you know, how much pain that can involve.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's brutal, you know, but I learned my lesson.
Yeah. Oh, my dad used to use a soap, wash my mouth out with soap if he caught us swearing. Had
Oh
that.
my
Oh,
gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
what about on the dinner table? If you had your elbow on the table, man, I
That
got
didn't
my
really.
I got my elbow smacked on the table, and you know how much that hurts, right? Elbow.
Yeah. Yes. It does. It kills.
Man,
Dad used to when he cooked us dinner. We didn't eat it. It was something we didn't like. We didn't eat it. You put it away for the next day, so we'd have it for
yep,
breakfast. If you didn't
Oh
eat it then,
yep.
you'd
Lord.
have it for lunch. If you didn't eat it then, you'd have it for dinner.
And you don't get any dessert. Period.
Yeah, well, that's standard, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
That's a standard punishment. But yeah, you used to, like, I hate eggs and tomatoes. He always used to make us eat those. I just used to make me sick. He would
Wow.
make sure, and it would be cold. It wouldn't be heated. It would be cold.
Wow.
Wow. My folks used to say, you don't have to eat it if you don't like it, but I'm not making anything else.
My
So
dad used to
yeah,
force us
at
to eat
worst
it.
you'd go a little hungry, or you'd
Yeah.
go later and make yourself a peanut butter sandwich. I mean, there was
Oh
yeah,
no,
there
we
was
had to
some
ask if we wanted food. We'd have to ask.
not in my family.
Yeah, if you wanted a sandwich, you wouldn't go. You'd have to ask for a sandwich.
Wow. Wow.
My mum
That
So
was
must
like,
Laura, you done it. Just one night
yeah.
bot just answered.
what
My dad was on benefits here. So some days we couldn't afford to eat, so we'd just have this pot of soup,
Mm.
and we could
Laura,
just with
Laura,
bread. That's what we
Laura
would eat on some weekends.
Laura Rader's talking about mom guilt from the chat, and I just got to laugh because I try that on my boy all the time, and most of the time I'm far too obvious, so it doesn't work. I need to learn how to
Yeah,
do it more sneakily, I guess,
yeah.
because he he just gives me his look like, really, you think I'm buying that? It's funny.
I think every parent is going to get challenged eventually by their kids.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think so as well. I think at
I
some
think
point they do.
it's more of the tribal thing, isn't it? Again, because we are animals at the end of the day. The person's always going to pick up on who they see as the top of the table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are we
So that's why
talking
you're always
alpha and
picking on me,
beta?
Paul?
What's that?
That's why you're always picking on me?
Yeah, that is, mate. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, tribal instinct, you?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Because
Go ahead.
you were the top dogs of Europe once, and now I've got to do it. I still
I just
haven't
want to.
forgiven you for bombing my chippy, mate. I still have not forgiven you.
Sorry, guys.
Still
I'm just trying to make this a little bit more light here. It's a very heavy subject.
I'm still trying to figure out what a chippy is.
A chippy is
See?
a fish and chip shop, Liz.
What's
So
that?
Fish and chip shop.
Oh, I got it. Okay, thank you.
That's a
so
chippy.
so I wanted to just say this real quick because I'm actually running out of time. I've got some things that are kind of coming up over here on the job side of the house. Um, I wanted to thank everyone for participating in this first of hopefully many to come live streams that we don't haven't been doing them as often. I know I enjoyed doing them, and I enjoy doing them with the people that you see on panel with Paul and Veen and Liz. The four of us, including some others, talk a lot almost daily on the back end, and so having a conversation on a live stream that everyone else can participate in is just very enjoyable, and I hope those are in the chat were able to enjoy this as well. But before we go, let's do a round robin and starting with Veen. If you want to say anything to all the viewers before we head out, feel free. The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, for me, this is a very heavy-duty topic, and I made my peace with my parents. You know, even if I still have the same apprehensions with my dad, but I can accept it on different terms by now. So we're all good.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Dave is in the
Nah,
chat.
Liz, let's just go ahead and close the show.
Okie
Hey,
dokie.
Paul, you're up next, sir.
Oh, okay, Mike. Yeah, well, thank you everybody for listening. Really, thank you. It's been enjoyable. For discussions, it's where you should be.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Damn.
Lady of the house, Liz, you are on the mic.
Oh
I
my
just gotta
God.
say, I really enjoy all of you on the panel and in the chat. And Laura Rader, you are my spirit animal, my dear. I love you. Especially.
Well, I want to say thank you again to all those on the panel, Paul, Liz, and Veen. Thank you to everyone who are in the chat. Of course, you help support us by, being there. We couldn't do the live streams without you. If you want to see more, I know Laura Rader, you have put something out there for us to discuss in upcoming videos. I think that's going to be a really good topic. If there are other suggestions that you would like to see, let us know. That would be really, really good for us to add new things to our um, possibilities of things that we can discuss about. So, Laura Rader, Liz, even Aaron's views, all the others, even Zeus has blessed us with his appearance, and we haven't seen him since 1987. So we appreciate you. I'm just kidding. Everybody doesn't know that's my cousin nephew is Zeus. But I want to appreciate everybody for participating with us. And again, please leave comments. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Please subscribe to our channel if this is some information and topics that you find helpful or interesting. We will help, or we'll be here anytime. And hopefully, we'll be doing these more often. So for Liz, Paul, Veen, myself, and even Elizabeth, even though she didn't come on panel, she is part of
Boo,
the team.
Liz. Boo.
She's part of the team. So, and Vic Ferrari, all part of the team. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Good night, or good day, everyone.
Right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, folks.